How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, October 29th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Thursday, October 28th. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today. And just before I get into it, just to take a quick snapshot of where we are in the 2021 calendar year, there are two teams left competing in the MLB for the World Series, as Game 3 will take place today in Atlanta. The NFL is just getting underway into its 8th week as college football is getting into its 9th week. Soccer is just getting underway as domestic leagues are kicking off going into the weekend. And of course, the NBA has gotten kicked off as well. Same with the NHL. That one rhymed. First, getting a quick look at what's going on in the MLB. Game 3 of the World Series will be tonight in Atlanta. Games 3, 4, and 5 will be in Atlanta. The series is tied at 1, which means there will definitely be a Game 5. Luis Garcia will make the start for the Houston Astros. Ian Anderson is going to make the start for the Atlanta Braves. The Braves took Game 1 and the Astros took Game 2. It's a very even series. Now that it's a 1-1 series, it is a best-of-5 series between these two to determine who will take home the 2021 title, and it's very possible that it may not even go back to Houston for Game 6 at this point. Taking a look now at what's going on in college football. 24th ranked Coastal Carolina hosted unranked Troy, and the Chanticleers would end up beating the Troy Trojans 35-28 at home. Coastal Carolina and Troy would each score a touchdown in every quarter. The difference would be that Coastal Carolina scored 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, and that one extra touchdown would be the difference for this entire game. For the Chanticleers, their starting quarterback, Grayson McCall, would throw for 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He would also end up running for 59 yards and a touchdown. That would end up being 253 total yards of offense. That took me a second. That's 353 total yards of offense from Grayson McCall on the day, and that's 3 touchdowns for him. Their leading rusher, Shamari Jones, finished with 95 yards on 14 carries as he had 2 touchdowns on the day. Coastal Carolina's leading receiver, Javon Haley, finished with 5 receptions for 116 yards as he had a touchdown. Their second leading receiver, Braden Bennett, finished with 2 receptions for 84 yards as he had a touchdown. He also had 2 yards on the ground. That's 86 total yards of offense. On the defensive side of the ball, Enoch Makonzo would finish with 11 tackles on the day, and then Silas Kelly and Shaheem Watkins would finish with double-digit tackles as well, as they each had 10. Josiah Stewart and Jeffrey Gunter each finished with a sack and a half on the day. They would both combine for Coastal Carolina's 3 sacks for the day. With this win, 24th ranked Coastal Carolina is 7-1. They are 3-1 in their current conference at the moment, which is the Sun Belt. And with this loss, Troy is now 4-4. They are 2-2 in the Sun Belt. At the moment, there is only one undefeated team in the Sun Belt, at least within conference play, and that is the University of Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns. So that's where Coastal Carolina is sitting within their division. There's no college football going on today. Taking a look at what's going on with the NFL, the Arizona Cardinals hosted the Green Bay Packers. The Packers would end up giving the Cardinals their first loss of the season as the Packers beat the Cardinals 24-21. The Cardinals would end up scoring the first touchdown of the game, but Green Bay would outscore them 10-7 in the first half. And then each team would score a touchdown each in the third and fourth quarters, but it would be that extra field goal in the first half for the Packers that was the difference. That would help them win this game 24-21. And Arizona would score a touchdown to bring it within 3, but Green Bay was able to keep the game at arm's length. Taking a look at how the game went for Arizona on the losing end, their elite starting quarterback, Kyler Murray, completed 22 of his 33 passes as he threw for 274 yards. He also threw for 2 interceptions. He also carried the ball 6 times for 21 yards. That would be 295 total yards of offense. Their second leading rusher, James Conner, had 22 yards on 5 carries as he had 2 rushing touchdowns on the day. Their leading receiver, their elite wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, finished with 2 receptions for 66 yards. On the defensive side of the ball, Jordan Hicks led the game in tackles. He had 12. Jalen Thompson had 10 tackles for the day. For the Green Bay Packers, they were led in passing, of course, by their goated starting quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. He completed 22 of his 37 passes for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. He would also run for 3 yards as he had 187 total yards of offense. The Packers' leading rusher was A.J. Dillon. He had 16 carries for 78 yards. Their elite running back, Aaron Jones, was their second leading rusher and their leading receiver. He had 15 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown on the ground. He had 7 receptions for 51 yards through the air. That's 110 total yards of offense and a touchdown. On the defensive side of the ball for Green Bay, Rasul Douglas would lead the team in tackles as he had 9 of them. The team would combine for 2 sacks. Henry Black and Rasul Douglas would end up with the team's 2 interceptions for the day, as Rasul Douglas also led the team in tackles as he had 9. With this win, the Green Bay Packers are now 7-1. They are, of course, 4-1 on the road. That is the best record in the NFC North. With this loss, the Arizona Cardinals are 7-1. That is still the best record in the NFC West, as the Los Angeles Rams could even up with the Cardinals with a win in their next game. That is what the NFL is looking like, as Week 8 will not pick up until Sunday. Taking a look at what's going on in the NBA, especially from yesterday's matchup, starting off in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia 76ers hosted the Detroit Pistons. The Sixers would end up beating the Pistons 110-102, as the Pistons still look for their first win of the season. The Sixers outscored the Pistons by 7 points in the second quarter, by 6 in the third. Those 13 points in the middle 2 quarters would be the difference. For the Pistons on the losing end, their leading scorer was their starting small forward, Saddiq Bey, out of Villanova. Saddiq Bey would finish with 19 points and 6 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3 as well. For the Philadelphia 76ers, their elite starting center, Joel Embiid, would lead the team in scoring. He had 30 points, 18 rebounds, 3 assists as well in 31 minutes. He shot 8 for 19 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and 13 for 15 from the foul line on the night. With this win, the Philadelphia 76ers are 3-2. They are 1-1 at home. With this loss, the Detroit Pistons are now 0-4. They are now 0-3 on the road. Taking a look at where these two teams are sitting, with this win, the Sixers are sitting at 3-2. Alongside the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks, tied for the 6th best record in the East. With this loss, the Pistons are 0-4. They are the only team in the NBA who still has yet to win a game this season. Jumping out to our nation's capital, the Washington Wizards hosted the Atlanta Hawks. The Wizards were able to beat the Hawks 122-111 as the Wizards won 4 of their first 5 games of the season. The Wizards outscored the Hawks by 8 points in the second quarter and by 5 in the third. That 13-point deficit would be the difference, considering they won the game by 11. Looking out to the Hawks, they were led in scoring by their starting power forward, John Collins. He finished with 28 points and 12 rebounds in 38 minutes. He shot 14 for 16 from the field. Their small forward off the bench out of Duke, Cam Reddish, finished with 20 points in 27 minutes as he shot 8 for 14 from the field. He shot 3 for 4 from the foul line as well. Their elite starting point guard, Trae Young, finished with 15 points, 3 rebounds, 13 assists, and 2 steals in 35 minutes as he shot 6 for 17 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. On the winning side of this matchup, the Wizards' leading scorer was their elite starting shooting guard out of Florida, Bradley Beal. He finished with 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 11 for 26 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting center, Montrezl Harrell, finished with 25 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in 34 minutes. He shot 10 for 16 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. Their starting small forward, Kyle Kuzma, finished with 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 steals in 40 minutes. Kuzma shot 8 for 17 from the field, and their starting shooting guard, also from the Lakers, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, finished with 21 points and 8 rebounds in 30 minutes. He shot 7 for 10 from the field, 5 for 7 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the Washington Wizards are 2-1. They are 2-1 at home. They are tied with the New York Knicks, the Charlotte Hornets, and the Chicago Bulls for the best record in the Eastern Conference. With this loss, the Atlanta Hawks are 3-2. They are tied with the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Philadelphia 76ers for the 6th best record in the Eastern Conference at the moment. Jumping out to Chicago, the Chicago Bulls hosted the New York Knicks. The Knicks would beat the Chicago Bulls 104-103 as they gave the Bulls their first loss of the season. The Knicks would outscore the Bulls in the first 3 quarters as they would systemically build themselves up. The Bulls would put up a fight in the fourth, but it just wouldn't be enough. Looking at how the Bulls fared on the losing end, their leading scorer was their starting shooting guard, Zach LaVine. He finished with 25 points and 6 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 17 from the field and a perfect 9 for 9 from the foul line. Their starting center, Nikola Vucevic, finished with 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 8 for 13 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. And their starting small forward, DeMar DeRozan, would finish with 20 points and 5 assists alongside 2 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 18 from the field, and he would shoot a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. And then looking at how the New York Knicks fared, they were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard, Kemba Walker. He finished with 21 points and 2 steals in 29 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, 5 for 6 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard out of Duke, R.J. Barrett, finished with 20 points in 33 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the New York Knicks are 4-1, and with this loss, the Chicago Bulls are 4-1. Both these teams are tied with the Charlotte Hornets and the Washington Wizards for the best record in the Eastern Conference at the moment. Jumping out to Texas, the Houston Rockets hosted the Utah Jazz. The Jazz would end up beating the Houston Rockets 122-91 by 31 points as the Utah Jazz remain the NBA's only undefeated team. The Jazz would end up outscoring the Rockets by 14 in the first quarter. They outscored them by 7 in the second quarter, so that's a 21-point deficit at halftime. And they outscored the Rockets by an additional 11 points in the fourth quarter. Looking at how the Rockets fared on the losing end, their leading scorer was their starting center, Christian Wood. He finished with 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals in 27 minutes. He shot 6 for 13 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. And then for the Utah Jazz, their leading scorer was their starting small forward, Bojan Bogdanovic. Bojan Bogdanovic finished with 19 points in 25 minutes as he shot 5 for 12 from the field and a perfect 7 for 7 from the foul line. Their elite starting center out of France, Rudy Gobert, finished with 16 points and 14 rebounds in 28 minutes. He shot 5 for 7 from the field and 6 for 8 from the foul line. Their elite starting shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell, finished with 15 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals in 24 minutes. He shot 5 for 12 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the Utah Jazz are 4-0. They are the only undefeated team left in the West, which means they have the best record in the NBA at this moment. And with this loss, the Houston Rockets are 1-4. They are tied with the New Orleans Pelicans, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Oklahoma City Thunder for the worst record in the Western Conference at the moment. Jumping out to Dallas, the Dallas Mavericks hosted the San Antonio Spurs from within the state. The Mavericks would end up beating the Spurs 104-99. As going into the fourth quarter, the game was completely tied up, and it would be the 5-point deficit in the fourth quarter that the Mavericks got that gave them the win. Looking at how the Spurs fared on the losing end, their leading scorer was their starting point guard, DeJounte Murray. He finished with 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 10 for 17 from the field and 3 for 5 from 3. Looking at how the Dallas Mavericks fared, they were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard, Luka Doncic. He finished with 25 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 7 turnovers in 34 minutes. He shot 11 for 19 from the field and 3 for 8 from the three-point line on the day. With this win, the Dallas Mavericks are 3-1. They are currently tied with the Minnesota Timberwolves for the third best record in the Western Conference. With this loss, the San Antonio Spurs are 1-4. They are tied with the Oklahoma City Thunder, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Houston Rockets for the worst record in the Western Conference at the moment. Last but not least, jumping out to San Francisco, the Golden State Warriors hosted the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies would beat the Warriors 104-101 in overtime after outscoring them 6-3. They outscored the Warriors by 10 actually in the second half to make it into overtime in the first place, and they would eventually give the Warriors their first loss of the season. Looking at how the Warriors fared on the losing end, they were led in scoring by their goated starting point guard, Stephen Curry. He finished with 36 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, and 5 turnovers in 41 minutes. He shot 11 for 29 from the field, 7 for 20 from 3, and a perfect 7 for 7 from the foul line. Jumping out to how the Memphis Grizzlies fared on the other end, they were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard, Ja Morant. He finished with 30 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and 5 turnovers in 42 minutes. He shot 11 for 22 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the Memphis Grizzlies are now 3-2. They are currently holding on to the 5th best record in the Western Conference. With this loss, the Golden State Warriors are 4-1. They are holding on to the 2nd best record in the West, as with this loss, the Utah Jazz are the last remaining undefeated team in the Western Conference. But right now, that is what the NBA is looking like, especially as we look forward to today's matchups. Because today is Friday, the primetime matchups are going to be on ESPN at 7:30. That matchup is going to take place in Miami as the 3-1 Miami Heat host the 4-1 Charlotte Hornets. At 10 o'clock on ESPN, the same network, the reigning 2021 NBA MVP, Nikola Jokic, and the Denver Nuggets are going to host the Dallas Mavericks, led by their elite starting shooting guard, Luka Doncic. This game will be at 10 o'clock. Looking at the games that aren't going to be on primetime, at 7 o'clock, the 2-3 Toronto Raptors are going to host the 1-4 Orlando Magic. At 7:30, the Brooklyn Nets are going to host the Indiana Pacers. At 8 o'clock, the 1-4 New Orleans Pelicans are going to host the 2-2 Sacramento Kings. At 10 o'clock, the 2-2 Portland Trailblazers are going to host the 1-3 LA Clippers. And at 10:30, the 2-3 LA Lakers are going to host the 3-2 Cleveland Cavaliers as LeBron James faces off against his old team. Taking a look at what's going on overseas, as domestic leagues are starting to pick up as we go into the weekend. Starting with La Liga, Atletico Madrid drew with Levante 2-2 as Atletico's first goal came from their elite French forward, Antoine Griezmann. With this 2-2 draw, Atletico Madrid is currently sitting 6th in La Liga. They currently trail first place Real Sociedad by 5 points in the table. Taking a look at what's going on in Serie A, Napoli was able to beat Bologna 3-0 as 2 of their goals would be penalty kicks from Lorenzo Insigne. With this win, Napoli is tied with Milan for the top of the table, but they sit with the number 1 seed as they have a goal differential that is better than Milan's at this current moment of the season. So right now, that is what the Serie A is looking like. Taking a look at what's going on today as we creep into this weekend, the only big matchup is going to take off in Ligue 1 as the current Ligue 1 leaders, PSG, who are sitting 7 points clear of second place Lens, are going to host Lille, who are the reigning Ligue 1 champs, but right now they're sitting 10th in the table. So, of course, this will be a prime opportunity for PSG to exact some revenge for Lille stealing, for Lille and doing what in PSG's perspective felt like stealing their title away from them. So, of course, this would be some perfect time to exact some revenge. And, of course, PSG is coming off of a good Champions League performance. So, of course, there's that as well. But that is what's going on today. And once all of today's matchups are done, I will come back tomorrow on Saturday, October 30th for another episode. Until then, I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. I want to thank the NBA, NFL, college football, soccer, and baseball websites for giving me all the facts and figures that I needed in order to do so. I want to apologize for all the names that I did butcher. I do plan on getting them right eventually. And I just want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. We just go at it day by day. It's an amazing journey, bit by bit. Thanks for listening to this piece. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. And peace out.